It is the final week before the New York City Marathon. This is where your fueling can make or break your race. As a chef and an athlete, I want to break down the biggest question leading into race day. What is the best way to carbo load, hydrate, and nutritionally strategize to help us crush 26.2 miles? All right, legends, we are 7 days away from the New York City Marathon. Behind me is the finish line being set up, and with 7 days to go, it is time to truly lock into our nutrition. If you are someone who's showing up to the start line just focusing on carbohydrates, you need to watch this video because it is way more nuanced than that. I'm talking micronutrient intake, meal timing, specifics, and if you are just focusing on carbs, as I said, you need to watch this video because there's a lot to break down to make sure you stop at the start line and get to the finish line in the best possible finish. So there are two big problems that everyone does that screws up before the marathon. Number one, you think you can eat whatever the you want, which is not actually the case. We're talking pizza, burgers. You just overload and you do not think about what is the right food for you. The second thing is we do not start our nutrition strategy soon enough, both of which we're going to target today in this week's episode. Now, before we get into the actual steps of today's episode, you need to do the planning. That's why every Sunday night I write my plan. Now, from say Tuesday to Sunday leading up to your marathon, it is crucial time. And by writing out your plan, not only are you gonna really execute on the two formulas that you're gonna get from this video if you keep watching, but the particulars around, say, if you have a lunch meeting or say you're flying in from somewhere, you will at least know that, hey, on Wednesday around this time, I need to make sure I'm eating something, and you are looking ahead. You are envisioning what you need. That is why a plan is important, as opposed to getting to that Wednesday, having a lunch meeting going, I didn't plan, or having a dinner that Thursday night, not thinking about what you still need, or how you can have an impact on the decision of where you eat. The whole point of a plan is to help towards your goal, and so that is why the first thing I always recommend is to write it down. So you've written your plan, now it's time to execute. And today I'm going to show you the first thing is all about adjusting your macro ratios. Now, if you need to follow along and you want to use something to help track along with this is exactly why I built Alma. So you can effectively write down everything you're having. You can have your macros adjusted for you and support every other nutritional need leading into not just this race, but any other wellness journey. What's good about this is, rather than just typing away, I can actually add through voice and understand my macro ratio, which is this first key step. So right now I'm making my Turkish eggs. Now typically I would have a lot more butter and include a bit more fat and less carbohydrates in this breakfast. But today I'm gonna double the amount of carbohydrates and reduce the amount of fat. And this is crucial. But if you want to know the specifics, you can simply just ask Alma and say, so Alma, it's Tuesday before the New York City Marathon. What should my macro ratio to carbs to fat be for my breakfast? And I'm making my Turkish eggs. This is awesome. So this builds in a lot of science and a lot of my food philosophy. So our recommendation for your macro ratios are 60 to 65% carbs, only 15 to 20% fat, which is quite a stark difference from my typical day-to-day. So that means of my overall breakfast, only 15% of my total intake can come from fat, which means my butter is very much reduced. And based on this pita bread, which I'll just scan the barcode, found it. So there's only 46 grams of carbs in that. So I'm gonna actually do 2. Now guys, the big takeaway is to adjust your macros according to your week and you personally. So as we know, the ratios we typically like to look for, 60 to 65% carbohydrates, even on the Tuesday breakfast before the Sunday marathon. Now, in a dish like this, which is high in fat typically, it has Greek yogurt, butter, and eggs, I'm adjusting everything to reduce the fat, increase the carbohydrate, and it is something people definitely do not do. They typically go about their week, particularly on a Tuesday, having the same things, not adjusting their ratio, and as a result, it affects taking on the carbohydrate load, getting your body soaking up all that wonderful glycogen you need. So start on Tuesday, reduce your fat, increase your carbohydrates, know your ratios. And if you don't, you can speak to a nutritionist, or that's again why I built Alma. Download the app. Again, it's here to help you guys. Yep. One of the biggest differences between performance and well-being. When you're eating for performance, it's specific to the athletic endeavors you need, whereas your well-being is for the rest of your life. Something I'm always advocating is increasing your fiber to 34 grams a day. However, when it comes to an athletic event, such as a marathon, you want to reduce the amount of fiber you are having going into those races. The reason being is you do not want to have any discomfort. Your gut working in overdrive is going to take away from the energy and resource you need for everywhere else, and it is going to feel uncomfortable. So from that Tuesday, you want to minimize your dietary fiber. If you're someone who uses whole grain pasta, switch to white pasta. Also consider the amount of veggies you're actually having over the course of it, or keep it as simple as possible. Personally, I avoid chickpeas, any Mexican bowls that involve black beans, and the same for my navy beans as well. Tonight's pasta is a venison meatball pasta with a homemade tomato sauce. I've only got 3 vegetables involved here, plus the pasta and the venison meat with some herbs and spices. With the inclusion of the simple, quick-acting white pasta and the lean meat of venison, this ensures I have a low-fat, moderate protein, high-carb meal, which supports all the daily needs I need leading into the marathon. It's not that high in fiber, which still addresses the need for sauce, and also hits that 60-65% carbohydrate mark I need. So this meal's takeaway, reduce your fiber. I know I won't say that too often, but that's one of the biggest problems I see is people continue to have lots of fiber leading into marathon day. You need to start weaning off it. Yes, you do need to increase your carbs, but also make sure you reduce your fiber leading into the race. 1, so you can actually eat more carbs, and 2, so you do not get discomfort in your belly, which in turn, no one wants that on race day. Okay, so the final takeaway to share with you guys is too many people focus on calorie loading as opposed to quality nutrient loading. So for example, carbo loading, as I shared at the start, everyone just takes on pizza, burgers. They don't really take into account the specific requirements for themselves. So that's where it's really important that whether you are someone who doesn't need as much compared to somebody else based on your body weight, you are still making the right amounts for you and not just eating for the sake of eating. So focus on the right amount of macronutrients, not the total calories. One thing you do with Alma is actually work out the ratio of protein, fats, and carbs, and then work out your total based on your body weight. You can also do this by working out yourself, but we kind of want to make sure that you can do it specific for you. So you can always ask the question to Alma, such as, Alma, can you break down my macronutrients for the week of the marathon? Cool, so it's done that for me. Or you can work it out by simply researching what ratios you need and then multiplying that by the formula of your body weight, which I'll share in the description down below. So what I'm about to share with you may sound alarming, but this is typically what we recommend. Ideally, you want 7 to 10 grams per kilogram of body weight of carbohydrates. You also want protein to still be around 1.5 to 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, whereas your fat, 0.8 to 1.1 per kilogram body weight. Now that is relative to me, everybody is different, but that still accounts for that 65% carb, 15 to 20% protein, and the similar realm for the fat. So the best thing you can do is make sure you treat yourself individually and work out those numbers specific to you. If you want a really quick shortcut, again, this is why we built the app, it's why I'm building Alma. So download Alma and it can be super helpful. Also, if you already are doing Alma, please share in the comments your macro breakdown, because I'm generally curious how much it varies between people. Obviously, with body weight being one thing, that's huge. So once you have that formula, you can apply it to get your absolute numbers. Not just having calories for the sake of having calories, but you're gonna have the right numbers that you need to perform, particularly on that given Sunday. So apply them to your days and it will help you. For example, if you are flying in, a lot of people are coming in domestically, internationally even, and do not have the luxury of their own kitchen. So for me, for example, even being busy, a lot of us are going to be eating out. It allows you to help control understanding what you truly need. Again, if you have something that can support understanding every day, it does help, Alma or any other product in that nature. But by controlling the controllable, you get your absolute numbers, not just having calories for the sake of having calories. Sweet green time. So the hot honey chicken usually comes with quinoa. We swapped it for simple white rice and we doubled the amount of that. So now we've covered nutrition. The next important element, and another one that is often mistaken, is hydration. So we talked nutrition strategy, let's talk hydration, as I do my 800s today. Simply put, just like nutrition, people do not eat early enough and they don't know how to effectively hydrate in terms of electrolytes and quantity. So what I have to share with you is a must. Listen up, because you're not having a stitch or not sleeping right before the marathon. Your hydration is definitely relative to your body weight. So there is a formula to follow. If my marathon's on the Sunday, I like to start hydrating on the Tuesday. But before I explain, I've got my 800s to go. So here is the hydration formula to follow. I want you to target between 8 to 15 milligrams of electrolytes per kilogram of body weight in addition to what you were having during the day. So if I'm 80 kilos, 176 pounds, my week, starting from Tuesday up to Saturday, will range between an additional 640 milligrams of electrolytes up to 1500 milligrams of electrolytes in addition per day. I mean in addition because your food already contains electrolytes and sodium. To break this one down, Tuesday will be an additional 640, Wednesday 720, Thursday 880, Friday 960, and then anywhere between 12 to 1400 on a Saturday. Apply this principle based on what is comfortable, but remember, you already take on sodium throughout the day through your foods. This is on top of what you require. Hydration is such an underrated principle, particularly with electrolytes. How good's doing 800s? God, I missed that. So, hopefully you learned from today. Make sure the biggest takeaway is start earlier than you think and use that formula. It's huge. And I tell you this much, early on you'll start peeing a lot, you may feel uncomfortable, but by Sunday, you'll be well hydrated. And on the really, really hot days, you can thank me later. All right, team, so 7 days to go, and with the ferry behind me where a lot of you legends are gonna be taking off to get over to Staten Island for the start of the race itself, I want to leave you this final moment. You do not need to eat perfectly. You just need to eat with purpose, and that follows through for everything else. I really hope you take all the little details here for the final week. You've done all the work, just do the last little bit with intentionality so that you show up to that start line relaxed, calm, and ready to enjoy the best day of the year. So to all of us and the team, we want to wish you a really awesome race day. I hope Alma has inspired and supported you in your journey. And with that being said, I'm DC. I'll see you in the next video or at the New York City Marathon.